Traditional pills dissolve in the stomach and flood the entire bloodstream. You end up treating the whole body just to reach the lungs, bringing a host of unwanted side effects along for the ride. But if you look inside a healthy human lung, you find an alternate route. The lungs offer a massive, highly vascularized internal surface area, up to 140 square meters of tissue, perfectly primed for absorption. Compared to the massive systemic dose required to flood the bloodstream on the left, a small targeted inhaled dose delivers faster action with a fraction of the medicine. Because we use less medication, the massive red block of systemic side effects shrinks dramatically. Delivering medicines straight into the airway promises rapid, safe relief. But making good on that promise requires physically pushing a microscopic payload deep into the lung tissue. Inhaling a drug is a brutal obstacle course through a highly hostile environment. This anatomical chart shows the human airway is a symmetrical, branching labyrinth, evolved to block foreign objects. Every sharp turn acts as a physical barrier, lined with mucus and cilia, actively defending the tiny, distant alveoli where the medicine actually needs to go. If a medicinal droplet is not engineered to navigate these exact defenses, the body will violently reject it. Successfully outmaneuvering the lung's filters isn't a chemical trick. It depends entirely on the microscopic dimensions of the droplet. Let's start at the upper extreme, medical droplets that measure larger than 5 micrometers. Due to high mass, heavy particles carry too much momentum to follow the respiratory tract's sharp turns. They fall victim to inertial impaction. Instead of righting the airstream, these oversized droplets slam into the outer tissue walls of the mouth and throat, halting completely. The body's mucociliary escalator acts like a broom, sweeping these stranded heavy particles up and swallowing them down into the stomach, completely wasting the dose. Because the medicine never reaches the lungs, it pools in the throat. This localized concentration can cause severe irritation, leading to complications like oral thrush. When you ignore physical scale, oversized droplets fail to treat the illness and instead turn their momentum into a hazardous, localized payload. So if big is bad, let's look at the opposite extreme, ultrafine droplets measuring smaller than 1 micrometer. Lightweight droplets easily glide past sharp turns, successfully navigating the branching structure into the deep alveolar sacs. But lacking raw physical mass to settle onto the tissue, they remain suspended in swirling air currents, never making contact with biological receptor sites. The patient takes a breath, the air current reverses, and the entirely weightless medicine is pushed right back out into the room. Navigating the maze is useless if the payload is too light to land at the destination. There is a highly engineered sweet spot in inhalation therapy. A perfect physical scale sits strictly between 1 and 5 micrometers. On this deposition chart, we trace the exact physics. Perfectly weighted particles carry aerodynamic balance to float past upper airway bends, bypassing the trachea without inertial inaction. Deeper down, the airway branches out, increasing cross-sectional area, causing inhaled air velocity to drastically slow down. When the air slows, a process called gravitational sedimentation takes over. The slowed current finally allows gravity to gently pull the perfectly weighted droplets out of the air and onto the lung tissue. A 3 micrometer particle is a meticulously calibrated physical object, engineered specifically to exploit the lung's own internal aerodynamics. You can spend billions of dollars perfectly engineering aerodynamic medicine, but the entire process can be ruined by the human operating the device. The velocity of the air pulled in by the patient dictates how the particles will behave. This graph illustrates the most common patient error. A rapid inhalation spikes air velocity, turning droplets into projectiles that crash into the throat. To counteract this, doctors instruct, inhale slowly and deeply. Maintaining an even velocity organizes the chaotic particles into a smooth flow. The final step is a mandatory breath hold. Pausing for a few seconds at the end of the breath stops the air current entirely, giving sedimentation the quiet time it needs to pull the medicine down. A modern inhaler is a precise aerodynamic instrument. To achieve a cure, the patient has to master their own breath.